I've known you since year dot.
I mean, well, I grew up, like all of you did, I grew up watching Janet on TV. And, of course...
And what did you say this morning that really wound me up? You said, I was watching a clip of you on YouTube last night when you interviewed Johnny Rotten, Janet, and do you know what? You were quite hot back
know,
then. Talk about digging a hole, Jonathan!
I said you were really hot back then, and you're really hot now as well.
Oh, yeah.
Us women have selective hearing. Terrible. You know what's so funny as well is you have introduced Janet to the world of virtual reality.
Well, because I bought him because I do my show in the same studio, and I've got a virtual reality thing, and I've got a new one which is portable, really portable, and it's a really good workout. Because I don't know about you guys, I know you all keep in shape, but I'm trying to keep the pounds off. I'm trying to keep healthy, and I find that I won't go to the gym. I find that too boring. But if
Let's look at this.
So I thought, let's get Janet boxing.
It's not a very strenuous workout, though, is it, Jonathan?
Well, we had some teething problems
We
with
had some
technology.
technical issues.
What's she on there? Boxing app?
I don't know what she's on. It's meant to be a boxing app. Well, look, but you've done a bit of boxing in the past.
Yeah,
haven't you?
I had a boxing trainer for 3 years, and I really like boxing, actually.
But that makes it a fun game. That's
So
you do that at home?
It does what? I mean, you wouldn't think it to look at me, but I mean...
I think you set it up so I'd fail.
Oh!
I know you did. You altered the floor area and
blasphemous.
That's a big allegation.
Paranoia.
Yeah. So tell us about the new show. You're recording it straight after
I
here?
record it tonight here in the studio on The Tonight Show, which will be out on Saturday night on ITV. We've got Stephen Fry on, who I love Stephen Fry, of course. We've got Martin Freeman on, who's great. We've got two of the stars of Downton on.
Yeah.
That's the big film. And I've seen the film this week.
Have
I've already
you?
seen it. It's amazing. I mean,
Is it? Were you a fan of the series?
I love the series. Love the show. I mean, it's nonsense, of course, but the most delightful nonsense.
It is delightful nonsense.
Yeah, and I was worried because I was worried that something bad might happen in it. You think about the cast and who we love. You think about one person in particular who's been in it for a long while, and I thought, you better not do that to me.
No. Can we rest easy in our
Well, I don't want to spoil it.
beds?
You got to go and see it.
Jonathan, over the years, obviously you've interviewed so many people throughout different times. We were talking about being politically correct earlier. Are you more conscious about how you phrase questions and stuff now more than ever before?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good thing, I think. I mean, you talk about Fireman Sam, and I think it's absolutely correct. I mean, that's like, you know, it's easy to be silly about a story. It's fairly trivial in some ways. But I remember a while ago on the radio, I was talking about firefighters, and I said firemen, because I grew up when everyone called them firemen.
Called them firemen,
But of course, they aren't firemen and policemen, they are firefighters. So, of course, you should say that, and it is right. That representation is crucial, I think.
And did you get some stick for it?
No, not really. I mean, someone wrote in and said, oh, I'm a woman in the fire force, and, you know, so I apologise. But she was really nice, because she understood exactly where I was coming from, which is, I didn't mean it in any manner.
And it's also
it was
difficult.
a stupid thing of an older person who's...
Because you have people like midwives and that, you know, more women are in that profession than men, and it's like, do we get to the point where we change that reference as well to a midwife? What would you call it if it wasn't a midwife? Well, I don't really know. Like a baby postman? I mean... I know.
Jonathan, your wife's a really successful screenwriter, so does Jane ever pick you up at home and say, no, you can't say that anymore?
No, you know what, because I am, as the youngsters say, I'm fairly woke.
Oh,
That's because
that
my
doesn't
kids...
come easily off your lips, does it?
Well, it does. But my kids are very kind of like aware. Not so much my son, but my youngest daughter, she's set up a thing called Pink Protest, which is kind of a modern activist feminist group.
Okay,
and so I learn a lot from her, and I see a lot of things on her Instagram feed, which frankly I wish I hadn't seen. So I kind of know what the modern world is about.
How old is she?
She's 22.
Okay,
she's my youngest, and my oldest is 28. And so, you know, I mean, I am in touch with the modern world, and all these changes, I think, sometimes, and more often it's men than women, they hang on to the past because they are somewhat threatened by these changes. And that's sad, really, and it's a bit awkward. I mean, I know someone mentioned me earlier they're bringing out a Miss Monopoly game.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Monopoly,
well, that's fair enough. I mean, it's absolutely... I mean, I know this sounds awful, but I didn't know that there was a kind of inequity in male and female pay in the workplace till about 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Someone told me. I hadn't even been aware of it, of course. And, of course, when you are aware of it, you think, that's nonsense, it's ridiculous, it shouldn't be. But I hadn't been aware of it. And so these sort of changes, I think, are crucial, because even if it's just spreading awareness and making people know what's going on in the world, and therefore they can maybe help to bring about some change.
Now, you interviewed Boris Johnson...
Bojo.
Way back. And I interviewed him, I think, a little bit before you did for a magazine article, and I spent 3 hours with him in my house, and I must say he didn't answer a single question. He just stonewalled, and if you ask him unpleasant questions or probing questions, he just waffles and blusters.
Wiffle waffles.
How did you get on?
Well, here's the thing. He's a fabulously entertaining person to spend time with. If someone like Boris comes along, you can see why the media love him. It's the same way Trump in America. The media love him because he would say outrageous things and he would put on a show and it was a spectacle and it made politics less boring. But, of course, the danger of that is we still don't really... Does anyone really know what Boris stands for? Apart from standing for Boris.
Yeah, that's what you say. You don't know what he stands for because he's playing a character.
We don't really know what he's talking about. And a lot of politics at the moment, which is a terrible state. I'm kind of glad I'm going to be dead soon, to be honest with you.
You will be if you're doing that virtual reality.
Well, I know it's selfish, but you think, you know what, I've got long...
Past 100. I know, I'm the same.
Well, your Halloween party is going to be very interesting this year.
Wait, is that going to kill me? Is that what you're saying? My wife's got plans to kill me and put me on display for Halloween.
We were talking about I always get FOMO looking at the pictures of you.
Yes, we all do.
Now I don't drink anymore. I don't really want to go to parties, but there's something about your Halloween party that just gives me FOMO. But you don't really, apart from that one night, if I'm right, don't live a massively show-busy life, do you? You and Jane are like...
Even on that night, I don't think of it... Because the main reason I do the Halloween party is because my kids love it. We started it as a thing for the kids when they were little, and it grew and became slightly more grown up when they became grown up.
But it's quite show busy, isn't it?
Well, it isn't. I mean, I almost swore that. I don't really mind who comes because...
Oh, good girl.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
If you like some low-hanging fruit, we're available.
My kids have like 20, 30 people they invite each, and that's the party. And other people, it's people during the year who come up to me and say, please, can I come to your party? And I wind up often, but sometimes I forget to invite the people I've said, and because it isn't something...
We'll remind you.
I know. And you would be very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We have our costumes
Yeah, we do.
I mean, it's kind of sad and desperate.
We don't
but, I mean,
care.
you're very
I've got that
welcome.
hot dog costume you make me
Great.
wear.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A hot dog?
Oh, the worst costume I've ever worn on this show was the hot dog. And every time the show's editors want to really, really annoy me, they play the clip
I'm
of
hoping
Janet.
we can see it.
I know,
in a
if we
minute.
got
I'm hoping they won't find it that quickly.
Somebody that I feel that we would like to mention, who I met a few times and was always lovely to me, was your mum, your late mum, Martha. And I was in Coronation Street many years ago, and Jonathan's mum was always an extra on EastEnders, and she used to love to come and talk to me about the soaps, and we knew lots and lots of people. She was always a joy, and I know you must miss her terribly.
Well, I mean, my dad's still alive, so this was the first of my parents that we lost, and I mean, it is devastating. I think you know it's going to be a big loss, but you don't really know how it's going to feel. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you ever fully get over it, really.
No, I don't.
I mean, what's awful is, I mean, I did see her shortly before her death, and then, well, she had a form of cancer, but we were told it was livable with, and that she followed the treatment, and so we assumed she'd be around for a lot longer,
Yeah.
And then just briefly, early February, she got ill, and there was a phone call went round, and we had a sort of family WhatsApp group, so we all kept in touch. And I feel bad because everyone said, "Oh, we'll go and see her," and I said, well, let's not all go and see her today, because then there's no one going and see her tomorrow.
Yeah.
So let's spread it out during the week.
is a
So
nice thought.
who can only go today? And the two good went there, and then she died that day. And so, that last day when I would have seen her, although I think she didn't really know what was going on. Where
She knew how much she loved her.
Oh, well, we just wanted you to know that how sorry we are.
was.
We always
so
spoke of her
loved.
very fondly.
You know, it's interesting, we're talking about here, but one thing my mum did, and I'm sure this will strike a chord with a lot of you, who think about your parents, is whenever anyone would say to her, you must be so proud of Jonathan, she would she'd go, I'm proud of all my children.
That's what I say.
And so I don't feel I have any ownership over her and her death in a way that all of my brothers and sisters don't, because she loved us all without any kind of with no holding back at all, and just equally as well. So we'll miss her terribly.
Lovely.